On today's Toy Spot, we're going to be looking at the Sota Toys Now Playing Presents. This is now Series 3. We're going to be looking at the Dog Soldiers Werewolf. A very unknown movie. I mean, some people have seen Dog Soldiers. A lot of people haven't. It's one of those underground, kind of cult favorite werewolf movies. I gotta say, if you've seen it, you really appreciate the movie. It's a great movie. Really, I mean, it's one of those movies that I don't think got really great circulation and distribution. It's a foreign movie for as far as I know. I am probably wrong by this, but great special effects. The acting is really good. The writing is good, and the animatronic and the prop effects are fantastic. It just goes to show, really, the fact that you don't really see all of the werewolves, you know, in the movie. It just goes to show, goes right back to the idea, less is more. Jaws did it really well. I believe the original Pumpkinhead did this really well also, and Dog Soldiers also a good example. It's not in your face, it's not CG, which is, for one thing, a welcome change, because I mean everything nowadays is CG, which sucks. But Dog Soldiers, give it a chance. If you can find it on your video shelves somewhere, pick it up, give it a rent, give it a watch, and you'll see how awesome Dog Soldiers is. So today, of course, we're going to be looking at Dog Soldiers the Werewolf, and comes to us from Sota Toys Now Playing Presents. Very much like the Darkman, you see it comes in a very large, almost too large of a package. It's incredibly large. It's the size of a lunchbox. There is a lot in there, and it's quite a large figure, but very large packaging indeed. On the back of the package, I'll just turn this around here. The other figures in this wave for Now Playing Presents Series 3, we've got Dune, we've got Dog Soldiers. Now, there are two versions of Dog Soldiers. I'll get into that just in a minute. There's Legend. There's Pumpkinhead, a mega-scale Pumpkinhead, speaking of Pumpkinhead. And finally, there's The Thing. And it's also funny, too, that when I originally remember seeing this Thing box set, I could swear to you, I thought it was a McFarlane Movie Maniacs set. Apparently, I was wrong, though. It's not. It's Sota Toys. So it just goes to show the level of work that they put into it. The other figures, well, Series 4 coming soon. I'm trying to remember even if did they have a Series 4? I don't even remember seeing them. But apparently there is a Leprechaun figure. Who knew? I didn't know. I have to look back and check that out. Reanimator, Jeepers Creepers 2, and a Tremors box set. Oh, I really hope they actually did do a Series 4. I want to pick some of those up. But that is packaging on the Werewolf. Now, there is a variant as well. There is a bloodied variant, which I believe was a Towers record. Yeah, Tower Records exclusive. But from I believe a retail end of it, there was also a gray version as well. Now, personally, I actually just rewatched this movie before I shot this review, and enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed the first time I saw it. And the thing is, with these figures, either one you could get, and I think it would be accurate to the movie, because really, at no given point do you really get do you really feel you know what color these werewolves are? Sometimes they look brown, sometimes they look gray, sometimes hard to tell. Now personally, as a matter of preference, as much as I like the brown werewolf, I think I like the gray one just a little bit more. So that for that reason, I'm actually going to move the brown one out of the way. There's a slight variation, a slight difference in paint really in the head and stuff, but I think what I'll do is I'll open up the gray variant, just because I think it looks a little cooler. I'm going to open up the gray variant, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a better look at the Dog Soldiers Werewolf. So stay tuned, guys. Don't go anywhere, there's so much more to come. Now that we have the werewolf out of his package, let's look at the very impressive, the very perfectly sculpted werewolf from Dog Soldier. Unfortunately, I have to start this review first with a little bad news. Old Butterfingers here, after he finished shooting the package into this review, went to open up the figure and he slipped out of my hands. He's still in the package, or in the clam, the actual case that the figure sits into when you take him out of the clamshell. Slipped out of my hands, he fell on the floor, and while I thought everything was fine with the figure when I took him out, I put him on display. Lo and behold, unfortunately, you'll see here that the pegs, it turns out that the figure was already, I believe, installed in the base that that you see here, and I guess he must have come off and the pegs actually broke off the stand and are still wedged in his feet. It might be a simple fix. I could probably just put some glue on these pegs, and maybe if I can wedge them in, I could probably get the figure pulled back out, or I'll just take some pliers and pull these out. But unfortunately, not a good way to start a review. But it's not a lost cause. The figure is still intact. Oh, I hope it stays like that. But a great looking figure. Great looking figure. I'll give you guys a turn around here. One thing I love about Dog Soldiers is the fact that these aren't just feral beasts that are attacking the soldiers in the house. They're very much like the military themselves. They work as a collective unit. They establish in the movie, I'm not going to spoil anything because for those who haven't seen it, but I like that in the movie they establish that there is an alpha male. They all kind of work as a team. They're not just these mindless creatures that are just attacking. They attack with purpose, and as you see in the movie, they slowly just keep breaking down the soldiers in the house. But a great movie though, and I gotta say, this figure I think represents everything that's cool about the movie itself. And really, by looking at this figure, you see more of this werewolf in this figure than I think you do in the actual movie, which I just love. You see a lot of silhouettes. You see a lot of the snout area of the creature. Sometimes you see a bit of the upper torso, but you see just enough of the werewolf that it doesn't look fake. And I think that to me is where you can take a budget, and you don't have to have $200 million to be spent on a budget. Instead, you're actually taking the time, and for what money you have to work with, you're actually finding the best way to present it, and Dog Soldiers is a good example of that. I really wish Van Helsing, for anyone who's seen Van Helsing, if you know me, I hate Van Helsing so much, because just because you have the means to make special effects for everything in the movie doesn't mean you should. And Van Helsing, great example of that. You take Monster Squad from the 80s, did it really, really well. You then take Van Helsing, just because they again have that budget, doesn't mean that they should make everything CG, and they did, and the movie, getting off topic here. I know sometimes I rant about stuff, but this is an awesome figure, And I actually looking at it now, I am glad that I opened up the gray one, despite the fact that the pegs broke off here. Because the brown one is nice, but I think personally they seem more gray in the movie for the most part than they do brown. But a nice sculpt on the head, as you can see. Very ferocious face here. I kind of wish that the face on the gray one, at least, wasn't as washed right here. I wish there would have been a little more detail here to kind of go with the mane here, but it's still really nice. You can see the teeth, the eyes. You'll also see as well that his head can rotate. He does come with an alternate head as well, a closed mouth, and we'll see if we can get this off here. See if we can get it off here. It's nothing worse than doing this stuff on camera. Sometimes you always feel like you don't get a good enough grip on it. And I gotta tell you, that was really stuck on there. Let's see if we can get the head on a little easier than... There we go. No, didn't get on. You guys just talk amongst yourselves. I'll just quickly get this on here. Unfortunately, one thing it does have is it has an incredibly large ball jointed... See if you guys can see it there. This mane also comes off here. But he comes with a very large ball joint. So much so that you really have to force it on. There we go. Now we're back on track. So there you have the alternate head. As you can see. I'll just pan the camera up here a bit. Again, a matter of preference. Personally, after all that work, personally, I think I prefer the mouth open. It seems in the movie, when you do get the close-ups of the werewolves, they seem to have their mouths open more than anything else. This is a great head, don't get me wrong, but I think probably I would display my figure with the head open, or the mouth open. But it's nice that they give you an option. Aside from the alternate head, which I've got on the figure here, the other accessory that the werewolf comes with is a severed hand. Now originally, before I went back and I looked at the package again before this review, for some reason I thought, in my weird mind here, for some reason I thought that the toy came with a severed werewolf arm, and then seeing the movie again, it made sense, because I believe it was the arm that Cooper severed off with the sword. But looking back on it, as you can see, it's not a werewolf arm, but it's actually just a human arm. Again, really nicely sculpted. Quite gross. Lastly, and I'll actually just move the dog soldier aside here, or the werewolf aside here. Lastly, we get a very gross but very cool diorama. The interior of the house here. And you've got all the bullet holes, and I mean really they put a lot of work on the sculpt of the backing here. See all the wood planks here, and then the old style of wall here with all the cracks and everything else in here. And then a very gruesome series of organs and blood all over the floor, along with some bullet casings. Here's where the pegs would have been, unfortunately, until good old Butterfingers here drops the figure. But again, it's nothing that can't be fixed. But a very cool set, very cool diorama. In the way of the figure's articulation, let's get back to the werewolf here, the star of this review. Aside from the head that can rotate, you can kind of move it up and down as well. He has ball jointed shoulders that you can kind of move in and out, back and forth. Nothing in the elbows. You can rotate the hands though. Not very well though. It just seems like they're the rubber hand plugged into the arm here. But you can rotate the torso, and you can rotate the feet. That's it though. That is it. Now, is this figure something worth picking up? Absolutely. And if you are a werewolf fan, first of all, I would hope that you've seen Dog Soldiers. If you haven't, run out right now and check out the movie. Rent it, see if you can find it somewhere, and check it out. This figure does a great job recreating one of the coolest looking werewolves in movies, period. This figure I'm going to give an 8.5 to. Sadly, I wish the pegs hadn't broken off, but still, despite all that, it's a great figure. So today today's toy spot we were looking at the Sota Toys Now Playing Presents, and today we're looking at the Dog Soldiers Werewolf. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more toy spots to come, and I will see you guys next time.